Engine hydraulics at pressure. And stage 1 fuel is closed out. Falcon 9 is in self-align. Falcon 9 heaters closed out.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count.
Vehicle tanks pressing for strong back retract.
Strong back retract has started.
Stage 2 RP1 bleed. Stage 1 RP1 bleed. AFTS final setup started. MVAC igniter purges. Pogo bleed.
Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power.
Stage 1 LOX load closed out. Vehicle is transitioning to internal power. Stage 2 LOX load is closed out. Propellant fills are complete.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Prime gas closeouts is starting.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
FTS is armed for launch.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for foot.
Hey folks, Monkey here. Let's talk about satellite phones for a minute. Head over to sat123.com and see the latest deals going. If you don't have one of these in your quiver, you're going to want to do that because there's a reason why the senators and the military and first responders are all getting these things added to their quiver. And it's because they are encrypted. They are it's a private comm situation. You can't be tracked wherever you're going. There are a lot of things. If the grid goes down, these things will still work. And so currently over at sat123.com, you can check out these Iridium phones. Here we go. The Iridium 9555 satellite phone. It is the best satellite phone ever made. In fact, I wish I had one of these phones. This thing is amazing. They have several plans going right now. You can get one phone for $99.95 a month. That's 100 minutes included. And the phone is also included. Plus, they sweeten the deal up even more. You get a $129 Garmin watch with that, which is pretty slick. And then if you want something for your family, they've got family plans as well. 2 Iridium 55 phones plus 2 Garmin watches. You get 200 shared minutes or text, $189.95 a month. That's a 24-month agreement. And then they have a bigger deal, actually. It's 3 phones, $279.95 a month. 300 shared minutes or text. Those are 3 Iridium 9555 phones plus 3 Garmin watches. That is pretty slick. Now, if you're still interested in the other phones, you can get them, but they are on back order. It takes about 4 weeks to get, and they sold out pretty quickly. So this deal here, they've got 1,000 phones set aside for the Monkey Nation. So they won't last long. So make sure you jump on this if you're thinking about it. Again, sat123.com. That's sat123.com. Or you can call them at 941-955-1020 and tell them Monkey sent you. All right, that's going to be it. You guys have a great day. We'll see you soon. Monkey out. All right. Hey, folks, when I said see you soon, that was literal in the sense. This is going to be your SITREP. It's 11 a.m. Central Time coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is June 21st, 2023. And, man, the things are moving at a rapid pace right now. There's so many missing, not missing pieces, but things just happening right now. Puzzle pieces. Let's just say that. Going on around the world, things going on with the war in Ukraine. There's things happening with submarines missing. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. We're talking about a major Bohica moment with more funding yet again. We've got them cooking the books, folks. This is getting ridiculous. Actually, it has been ridiculous for quite some time, but this just adds to the ridiculousness as we watch them spend our money to just try and prop up this deep state. I say prop it up. Keep the deep state propped up in the Ukraine. So listen, if you are not a member over on Patreon or over on Locals with James Cadiz, I will say we've got some we've got some videos there that are exclusive to that community. And it is all talking about everything from assassination of JFK to the Nazi Party and the deep state. And I tell you, it is something you are going to want to hear. It's incredible. And I'll just leave it at that. We'll probably do another short premiere on the next episode here for Friday during the live show. But it's sickening. Let's just put it that way. All right. Let's take a look at our mini-me board as we get over here. We've got 215 mil aircraft up right now across the United States. And we're going to look closer in this general region where the submarine has disappeared, this little private submarine. We'll take a look at that in a minute as well. Let's take a look at the air refuelers. We're going to just separate them from our list. I'm going to hit the traces just so you can see where they have been going. Keep in mind that this will track these aircraft every 5 seconds, which is pretty remarkable. Again, it's a Skyglass thing. You just, nothing better out there. No two ways about it. So let me see. I'm looking for my bees. Let me do this while it's cooking those. We've got 22 of the KC-135s up. And then if we go to the 762s, only got 4 of those. That's going to be your Pegasus. And we're just adding those in as we speak. And then we'll take a look at the U.S. as well as across the drink, too. We've got a lot of activity going on there with 2 more days left of this Air Defense or Air Defender 23 exercise going on. And keep in mind, it's spring in the U.S., and we are about to go into the season of all the National Guard units being activated to come and do their 2-week training thing. So one of the reasons why you put out there about the disinformation up front is so that when people start to see this activity, they don't get it confused and think it's something that it isn't, all right? And so, okay, looks like our screen has marinated here in Skyglass. So you can see we've got a lot of tanker activity over here in this area. This one, not from the East Coast. This is going to be stuff supporting. It looks like Flashbang's still out in this area. And we'll talk about that here a little more in a minute as well. But that's a good indicator. You got fighters up over San Fran. And then you drop down. We've got what looks to be yet another day down to the Texas-Mexico border with some fighter support. I've looked at these aircraft closely and the aircraft in the region, and I don't see any other aircraft types that are out there showing where they would be doing an air refueling event with these aircraft. So it definitely appears to be some type of fighter support down here on the border, okay? All right, let's go hop on over here to Europe. Let's see what we've got going on. And it looks like, we've got some stuff happening up here in Poland, right up near the border, kind of tucked in there. That's that little nook. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see them just working that marshalling pattern as fighters come in and gas and go. Remember, we got a large exercise going, so this is going to be probably more fighters here than we would typically see. But remember, Belarus, pro-Russia, Kaliningrad is Russia, and then we've got these areas here, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, who probably wouldn't take much of a tweak to get them to be pro-Russia. So Poland, that's where we have bases located. So fighters are up in this general region. This is a U.S. base right here in Poznan. And then you get down here, RZE would be the call sign right here, kind of in that, where that little mark is over Europe, okay? All right, so then we look over, it looks like over the North Sea, quite a bit of air refueling activity up in that general region. It looks like they are actually all over each other there. So yeah, just imagine you've got 200 fighters, so you're going to need a lot of air refuelers up pretty consistently if they're out doing exercises here, okay? All right, let's do this. We're going to take a look at our watch list today. Starting it out in Europe, since that's where we are now. Just notice you've got this. That's going to be that little drone looking north of Tripoli over the water. And then, of course, we've got more survey flights in the region. A couple E3 Sentries. That's going to handle the air traffic congestion. And then, let's see, what else do we have here? Got a little Q4. What's interesting is that Q4 is showing over Russia. So that is interesting. And then, of course, that's going to be Brio 66 running some routes there, as well as another survey flight. And then that looks like we got a SAM flight leaving Stockholm. So let's see. Let's get over here to CONUS, see what we've got going on. 22 survey flights up over the United States currently as we speak. We do have a little Q9 out here on the West Coast. That's going to be one of your little drones, unmanned. And then kicking around here, these, I got some database issues going on here, but those are probably going to be Homeland Security over Florida or NOAA birds. More survey flights. And then there are the Mill Intel balloons overhead. 4 of them right there, center of the United States, with capability probably to look coast to coast, folks. Gathering data coast to coast. Yes, you and me. And then this what I thought was interesting. This is actually a China flight. And notice it originates coming across kind of a weird direction there into Taiwan. What are they doing in Taiwan? I wonder. And then we kind of follow that track as it comes across through the Middle East and then across into Europe. There it is right there. So that's going to be one that we've added. We've been watching. There it is. Yeah. Don't know who is on that, but I do find it interesting. All right. So, okay, that's going to be your watch list. Let's go over here and take a look at the Mill Intel aircraft. And again, these are going to be those third-party civilian contracted DoD type of intelligence gathering, super high tech, probably right there close to the Q4 drone technology. Again, getting a good look at Kaliningrad. Look up here, south of Stockholm. Coincidence, we just had some SAM flights in there. And then we've got that area running up towards Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, to the left of Belarus. And then I see some transitions here, right? Notice you got a couple either coming or going. Kind of hard to tell. Notice, again, more transitions going back and forth. A little bit of work there in Tucson. Looks like they're moving them around a little. And then you can see somebody is getting a very good look. That's Brio 68. And he is getting a very good look at stuff, probably both sides there, looking at not only Delaware, but also DC and Virginia, et cetera. A lot of capabilities there. And when I say gathering data, we're talking about anything. Cell phone data, could be anything. Ground data, images, tracking vehicles, you name it. These things can do it. It is, no stone left unturned when it comes to that. Think of Enemy of the State movie with Will Smith and all the stuff that they were doing in that. Well, they are way beyond those capabilities now. Okay, check this out. This is down southern Philippines. Got a little bit of Intel aircraft doing some work there as well. And we get down here to Australia. And you can see off the water line there, what are they looking at off the shore? That's a very interesting thing. I don't know. Maybe worried about some subs out there, or could be anything. These aircraft have LiDAR as well. So, okay, now since we're already in Australia, let's just go ahead and take it from there. This was from last night. Notice we got some of these off in Perth. Those are both PC-21. It's going to be trainer activity. Looks like they're flying that. Now, I did this about 9:30 last night. And then notice the NAs. There seem to be quite a few NAs over Australia. That one's down over Tasmania. You got them kind of mixed in there. You got a couple C-130s, some P-8s, Navy P-8s, more NAs, a lot of NAs actually. So, and then some trainers. You got a little bit of trainer stuff mixed in there also, all the way from Sydney, Melbourne, up to what looks to be Brisbane, right? More NAs, more trainer aircraft, a little 737, which looks to be, I'm not really sure what that one is. That 737 could be one of the little surfboard skeg ones that the new E7s that are out there. Could also be a Marine Corps bird or something else. But then we get north of Australia and notice you got a couple C2s. Those are those really interesting aircraft if you've ever seen them. They're little turboprops. They can land those on carriers. And those are U.S. Navy birds over the Philippines. And then you get up towards Taiwan and Japan, etc. There's one of your little 737s, a little NA rolling in and out. It's amazing how many people just fly incognito, thus the NAs. It's mind-boggling. So a couple air refuelers up over that region, which means you got fighters up probably close to Taiwan. But yeah, that NA environment, I was just tracking a UN flight. I had it, I looked at it, I verified it was UN, and then all of a sudden it went NA. It didn't even have the hex code associated. So yeah, talk about a corrupt organization. All right. And then these are going to be the Ruskies. So you see in and out of Vancouver, right there in Canada, free range chickens. Then you notice too, you got something headed in and out of the United States, but that's probably related to an AN-124 cargo jet. And then, of course, we've got this motion here. This is going to be Russian Air Force, military, the dignitaries, etc., rolling in and out of Moscow, headed down to the Black Sea. And then notice you got them, looks to be headed over towards China. And then notice here too, in and out of Singapore, into Taiwan region. Yeah, actually into Taiwan. Let's see, headed north. I don't know where that was headed, but yeah, look at this. Then you get down to, so China to Taiwan, and then down here to Australia. Nothing today from that standpoint. So, okay, let's talk 3-day surveys for a minute. This is where it starts to get interesting. We're going to, again, since we're in Australia, continuing on. We've got 200 surveys the last 3 days, so it has definitely not subsided. They are continuing to, in my opinion, map the battlefield, okay? And that when this all stuff starts getting locked down and they are on the move, that's when all this will come into play, in my opinion. Notice a lot of activity there in Perth and Bunbury, which is very active, really. All right, now let's get over here to Europe and see what we've got. Now, the interesting thing is right there, just notice that's to the northeast of Poznan. That's a U.S. military base in Poland. They seem to be very interested in that area. And then you get down here, Netherlands, again, looking at gathering survey data. And we've got stuff in Portugal. We have some stuff going on in Barcelona. Not seeing anything in Africa. And we get over here to the United States. I'm really thinking some of this is tied to rivers and highways now, just based on these transitions, because we're seeing a lot more of the transitions, but we're not seeing any kind of reduction relative to the flights. Notice North Dallas, Fort Worth area. That's my neck of the woods. And then you get into Southern California, all the way up the coast of California. Then we've got stuff going on in Colorado, New Mexico, Idaho. And then look at this up here in North Dakota, man, mapping the daylights out of that. All right. And over here to the right of Fargo. And yeah, let's drop on over, take a look. Again, lots and lots of stuff going on. Kansas. And then notice here in the Northeast, over that general area, Connecticut, Delaware, north of Delaware, Connecticut, New Jersey a little bit, it looks like. Well, absolutely crazy. Tampa, Miami. So I don't know what they're doing. And we will find out one day, I can guarantee it, but I would imagine it's probably not for the good of us, okay? All right, let's break away from this. Let's get over here back to the mini board. And we will break away from Skyglass. And let's take a look. Looking at the flight radar stuff, this is the area where the submarine, the submersible has basically disappeared. I say disappeared. This is where they're doing their search location from. I notice you got a Coast Guard one out here, C-102. That, folks, has nothing really to do with the Coast Guard. That is your Department of Homeland Security secretary headed back. And look at that. Where was he coming from? Stockholm. Okay, there you go. That's the one we were just looking at. Here's another SAM flight. Stockholm. Okay. All right. The deep state is up to something now. So probably pressuring Sweden either not to release the Nord Stream findings or basically to get into NATO or else. You're on your own. Yeah. Okay, so that's where we are with that. But yeah, this is going to be the Canadian Coast Guard. You can see it's just looks to be getting airborne, headed out over the water. And that is the plane. We'll look and see if it does some type of search grid later on. It's going to be a little while. Lots of other stuff in here in this general area, but this is where they are basically working out of. So let's get into the story. It's a really interesting one. Now, this is basically, they're saying this is a last-ditch effort to find this this Titanic sub rescue. So these folks were basically paid crazy money to go out and into a submersible and drop down to the bottom to actually look at the Titanic wreckage. And they're saying now they're down to about 40 hours of air. That was, or that's been a couple hours. So they're less than that now. The interesting thing is that this ship dubbed Horizon Arctic was scheduled to leave at midnight, although the journey area is roughly 15 hours away. They're believing that this Titan is down around 19,000 feet. 12,000 feet below. And the equipment that they have is capable of diving down. It's unmanned vehicle submarine stuff. But that is capable of dropping down to 19,000 feet. That's where I got the 19. But again, they're saying about 40 hours left for these folks. Here's the crazy thing. Late Tuesday night, they heard banging sounds. Now, sound travels 6x underwater in terms of above water, right? So if you're underwater, you can tap on something and you can hear that for a very great distance. Boats, submarines, whales, all kinds of stuff. But they said that they could hear banging sounds coming in 30-minute intervals near where the Titan went missing with its passengers. They got a bunch of high-dollar billionaires on this one too, by the way. So I'm not going to go into the names and stuff here, but this is what is basically what they're looking for, who they're looking for. So it sounds like they're still alive, maybe, which is a little bit of hope. But this is where it gets really wild. You think about this. There was a P-8 Poseidon that was launched. It has underwater detection capabilities. And the P-8 sonobuoys reported contact in the position close to the distress position, and they heard banging sounds in the area every 30 minutes. 4 hours later, additional sonar was deployed, and banging was still heard. So that, again, is good news. This will be a Festivus miracle if they pull these guys out and everybody's still alive in this submersible. But pretty crazy. You hope, 12,000 feet, the pressure at that level is insane. You're running up against carbon monoxide poisoning, oxygen basically running out. That's thus the ratio starts to change. And then you're also, these pressures can basically squeeze that thing. You can have leaks. There's a lot of different things that can occur in that environment. So way, way, way deeper than anybody in a sub can get down and dive to save. So they have to use this unmanned technology if they find them. So you definitely a race for time right now. So keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. And let's pray for a miracle here, folks. All right. On over here to this piece. Check this out now. This is a F-35 did a headbutt to a private plane that was doing a low-level pass over the area that flashbang is in. And this just happened in Santa Clara County. Pretty wild, but I guess they landed at Moffett Field. But you can see the maneuvering here. I'm actually surprised you could see the F-35 on here, but normally you cannot see those. And unless they want to be seen, so that may have been on purpose. But let me turn down the sound on this so we don't get an echo, but you can see a video of this F-35 flying over here. Let me hit refresh in the area. Now you can see this thing. This maneuver, basically what they do is they fly right up in front off the nose of the aircraft. And what it does is creates kind of a turbulent environment. And that basically it'll shake up a pilot if he's in that aircraft. kind of scare you a little bit because it'll make your wings dip and stuff. You've heard of people taking off in smaller aircraft behind 757s or 67s on a runway, and they'll be bouncing all over the place, getting big wing dips, and that's because of that type of turbulence that they create. So anyway, all right, let's move on from that story. Just an interesting data point for you. Let's get over here to FlightAware. This is going to be the let me make sure that I am actually, yes, I'm on the correct screen. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes when you go away from your screen. So, okay, so we've got the Swift Airs. Looks to be many headed down into South and Central America. And then it looks like also we've got quite a few up here in this. This right here would be a good example of a deportation that's coming out of Alexandria, 72-hour holding facility headed back down to Guatemala. But then you get these here that come and go. That one looks to be headed into Alexandria. So I'm not sure if that was just a round robin, what was going on with that, or they apprehended some folks here in this state and they're bringing them here before they get deported. This is what you kind of want to see in terms of the flights going in and out. Another one headed into Alexandria. So it looks like they're filling this little jail up with some folks. Exactly what you want to see. What we don't want to see are the aircraft that are going up here into, the interior of our country. What this also tells you is that when we do see those on Mondays and on Fridays, more than likely it is the Amazon machine. They're taking these immigrants, they're bringing them in to work their facilities as they lay off other Americans and backfill them with illegals. All right. So there is that, but the board's pretty chock full today. If you go down, as I was showing, and it's border towns and a lot of prison-related stuff. All right, let's talk Flashbang schedule for a minute. Let's make sure we are on. Yes, it is hump day, and looks like he is departing San Francisco at 10:05 a.m. local, so he is already, actually just about to roll out. I think that is right, because we are 2 hours off from California, and then he's headed back. And then it looks like he is going to be having dinner with the Prime Minister of India this evening. All right. Okay. And let's get on over here as we talk about the shenanigans going on. U.S. national debt hits an all-time high of $32 trillion. Now, this is where it starts to get really interesting, because let's just put it this way. This is as of June 16th. The national debt in the United States reached a record high of $32.04 trillion, with approximately $25 trillion held by the public. That's you and me, folks. And $7 trillion in intragovernmental debt. So let that sink in. What's really crazy is Biden just signed the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is a joke, which suspended the debt ceiling for 19 months. So how is that responsible? It is not. It is just the opposite. They are projecting once again on us, folks, allowing the government to continue borrowing until the end of 2024, despite the legislation including spending cuts of $1.5 trillion over the next decade. Let that sink in. That's nothing. It says that the 2024 budget proposed projects the gross national debt to exceed $50 trillion by 2033. An increase of $17 trillion in the next decade alone. So that little $1.5 trillion give back is a joke. All right. So there you have that story. And the hits just keep on hitting. So check this out. Now you want to talk about cooking the books, folks. This is exactly why we need to change over in our government. There's no accountability. I will tell you one that comes off of government programs. When you talk about clean buckets and spending, there are no checks and balances. And this is the Pentagon's basically saying they had a $6 billion accounting error clearing more aid for Ukraine. Imagine that. It's not, hey, $6 billion accounting error and we're going to reduce it off our books. Instead, hey, no, we just found more money we can give Ukraine. There's a reason for that. Again, if you're over on Patreon, you will start to recognize as we go through the breakdown of exactly what's going on in the world right now and the fact that it has not changed since before World War II, it is very eye-opening. So, but this, they say here that the United States will allocate an additional 1.3, or sorry, that's my next story. It says here the accounting error totaling 6.2 billion was discovered in the value of weapons supplied by the United States to Ukraine over the past 2 years, following a previous $3 billion error. So we're now at $9.2 billion in book errors within the Pentagon. Let that sink in. The United States has approved $113 billion in aid to Ukraine, with the latest round of funding amounting to $45 billion. Yes, all this money, folks, is going over there because of the deep state, 1,000,000%. All right, now let's look at the next story here, because it ain't just here in the U.S. You folks in the EU who are in a recession right now, your government has proposed. That's a new one for you. Proposes $55 billion package to support Ukraine, which is insane. But they're saying that these member states are going to give this package aimed over the next 4 years. So the proposal includes $33 billion euros in loans and 17 billion euros in grants to bolster Kiev's finances. This makes me sick. And cover immediate reconstruction expenses resulting from Russia's war. So yeah, we're paying for the damage Russia is doing. And yeah, that's probably just yet another Bohica. Sometimes you just read this stuff and it just makes you nauseated because you know what is really going on here, and it's just sickening. And this debt is just piling on for generations and generations. You could have 10 generations and we'd never pay all this stuff off based on how much they're burdening the citizens of this country and the world for that matter. But here's your other Bohica moment. This is the one I was getting ready to read on my cheat sheet over here. But it says the United States will allocate an additional $1.3 billion in aid to Ukraine, focusing on, and get this, modernization of its energy grid, ports, railways, and overall infrastructure. And that's coming from good old Anthony Blinken. So let that sink in. Our infrastructure here in the United States is crumbling. They said that, they're trying to, power load electric cars onto a grid that can't support it. And they're doing nothing to basically better our own personal stuff here in the United States yet. We're going to turn around and just give them all this money unaccounted for. You know where it's going. It's floating into bank accounts. The companies that do get the jobs to go in and build up this infrastructure are probably all on the take as well. This is no different than Uranium One and the State Department giving people money that in turn come back into the Clinton Foundation. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. The corruption that we're dealing with here is at just its next level. Okay, speaking of corruption, check this out, man. Now, Hunter Biden basically, they dinged him a couple of days ago, and they made it like this was a big story. This is taking our eyes off of something else. It is. But they say that his tax violations involve failure to pay approximately $1.2 million in taxes from 2017 and 2018. Let that sink in. If you're paying $1.2 million in taxes on those 2 years, how much money are you making, right? For that crackhead to be able to have that kind of money. And we've seen it. We already know where it came from. It's from China. It's from the Ukraine. And the fact that nothing will be done. They're saying that basically the gun charge is basically going to just get dismissed, even though it is a felony violation. Two sets of laws here, folks. One for you and me and one for them. They're all made of Teflon, and nothing will ever be done to these people, ever. And just have to accept it, all right? Now, here's another one. This lady right here should be put in jail for this comment. I mean, this is a threat to a former president, basically saying that Trump needs to be shot. Is that not insane? This is a Democratic lawmaker quickly backpedaling during an on-air tirade. So evidently she was over on MSNBC talking about this whole thing going down. And yeah, here's a picture of her. Girl, I tell you what, no accountability. Evidently a Democrat from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Yeah. That right there, if that was anybody else, you'd have black SUVs in front of your house and some dudes in suits asking you a lot of questions. All right. All right. Are you throwing anything at your TV yet? It's insane. I know. You just can't make this stuff up. Look at this little ditty, man. U.S. just getting popped from the 3-point line on our Star Wars map today. Lots and lots of cyber stuff happening. It coming in waves, settles down a little bit, and then boom, it just fires up. This is over on Bitdefender. Look at that. Incoming. Okay, let's move on over here to this side of it. Now, this is going to be your NOTAM. We will also just take a look here as I bounce up. This is going to just give you a general idea. This is TFRs as we get into the NOTAMs. They're all kind of tied together. But you can see Flashbang's still here, the gigantic circle over him, TFR. Looks like Bob Marley has already left. Let me see. Yeah, she's gone. Only TFR here is going to be for GW Bush Jr. And then we've got these boxes. These are power outages. It's actually starting to come back on, but there was a sloth of power outages across the Southeast. A little bit of weather moving through, looking over the Senior Living Center, and then we get up to this side. Let's just take a look and see if they're dealing with any weather or high sea kind of stuff, environments. It looks like it's not too bad. Looks like you got something swirling off the coastline there, but that's good for the recovery efforts. All right, looks like you got weather moving in another day or two, but okay. Now, remember, this is the season. We're starting to enter that environment. It's summertime. This is when everybody starts to do their 2 weeks of deployments with the military. A lot of stuff will be happening here across the United States. As you can see, the boxes are starting to pop. I do know we've already got another effort coming in. It's going to be a large effort. They've got troops coming all the way as far as Hawaii coming into the United States to do some of these exercises. Now, we got this box off the West Coast, and let me see if it gives me any indication. Not seeing anything other than just a box. All right, normal boxes up here. Let's go down a little further. What is this? Now I'm curious. I got to click on it. That's up to 20,000 foot level. Point of contact, phone number right there. But, U.S. Coast Guard. Interesting. Gunnery exercise. All right, so U.S. Coast Guard is going to be popping off some live rounds there. And this, let's see what this one is. Yeah, same thing. Gunnery pyrotechnics exercise for the Coast Guard off in this general area. All right. Very cool. All right, so if you're looking at the yellow stuff kind of stretched out across here and out here and up on the north area, these are fireboxes. These are high turbulence areas. Okay, so if you're flying today across the United States, it looks like up over Wyoming, you're going to be a little bumpy. And then out here off the Gulf would be a little bumpy. They'd probably avoid that. That's probably a thunderstorm if I had to guess. So, and then let's get over here to across the Atlantic. Now, if you're heading across the drink, you're going to get a little bumpy there too. Heading into Europe. Man, look at all the boxes over these areas. This is crazy. It's very, very active on both sides. All right. You've got stuff running all over the Baltic Sea region. You have stuff covering up most of the Black Sea. Ukraine's just completely covered. Down here in the heel of Italy, we've got some new stuff off into the North Sea. This is probably part of the exercise, the air defender stuff going on 23. Again, up over the northern side of Scotland. And then let's go down to Africa. Look at the bumpiness here. Now, this right in here was where we had the UN plane that went completely black. It was flying, then it just went to, I'm looking at it, UN, got it tail number, got this, everything dialed into it. There were two of them. I got one of them I captured, so I'm going to start trying to pull those in so we can start watching where the UN is going. But then all of a sudden, The one that I was tracking, before I could get it recorded and captured, it went to complete NA, including the hex code, which is definitely unusual. So, all right, man, look down here off of this area, Southern Africa. Look at that. Look at the storms and turbulence there. That's crazy. All right, so let's do this. Let's get away from the NOTAMs. Let's get over to the other story here. B-52s arrive in Indonesia for the first time. I don't know if it's the first time. Man, that thing needs a paint job. But this, in essence, I guess they're getting ready to do some type of a joint exercise down there. They think it could be a joint exercise with some of the other aircraft. But yeah, this, you would think during Vietnam War and stuff, we'd have probably had some aircraft down in there as well. But evidently they're saying this is one of the first deployments of that aircraft to the country. And again, it is tied to some type of an exercise that, let me see if I can find the name of the exercise. Okay, exercise COPE West 2023. It's a bilateral exercise, training exercise between the U.S. and Indonesian Air Forces. Okay, so there is that. Now let's get over here to this piece. We'll continue on as we look at this. Russia says Ukraine is planning a massive attack on Crimea with U.S. missiles. Yeah, let's see what happens. Crimea is a stronghold. And if that is the case, it'd be pretty bad because that will probably get a pretty big response out of Russia. That could actually be something that kicks World War III off. All right, so we'll continue to watch it, but it looks like that is on the horizon, that the intel was intercepted. Yeah, right here. This guy here, this Russian guy basically spoke up and said this would mean a full-scale involvement of the United States and Britain in the war, given their military systems would be utilized. So, yeah, that right there is basically saying, let's roll. Okay. All right. Now, I saw this from a couple folks yesterday. I will tell you, China basically is planning a military base in Cuba. You got to laugh. In response to the U.S. support for Taiwan, listen, at the end of the day, if you go to the maps and you just look at where we are setting up shop and the fact that they are doing this right here is no different, China being in here than basically Russia being in there during the Cold War with their, with their Cuban Missile Crisis stuff. But it all is also no different than the United States setting up shop in Taiwan right off the coast of China. So, they do it, we do it, and it's just the nature of things, I guess you could say. All right. Okay. So let's get on into Biggs Army Airfield. Let's see if we've got anything going on new that's going to catch our attention here today. Not seeing any aircraft on the board for Biggs. It's actually very slow, very quiet. So let's move on. Let's get over here to Dover. And that is Dover, Delaware. Let's see if we've got any. We do have a national cargo that's coming in, 747 from Chicago. And then from there, it looks like it's headed over to England. And that will become a camber flight. I'm not seeing anything else on here that catches my eye. So very light day from a war perspective, military perspective. There's your one camber flight here. That's the only one on the board today, which, again, very unusual. Notice it's coming out of Ramstein, headed to Kuwait. All right. And let's move on. This is going to be Ramstein. So notice we've got this one headed over to Doha, coming inbound from Doha in the Middle East. And then this one here coming from, looks to be England, which that could be the flight that is going Dover to England to here. And then we've got an Atlas Air 747 coming in from Baltimore, Washington. We've got a Spar 87 coming in from Stuttgart. That's going to be one of your blue and white dignitaries. All right, so that camber flight, that one we see it in the air right now. It's headed to Kuwait. Let's go down, C-17. Another C-17, more than likely, and then this camber flight headed another one into Kuwait. So two 747-400s headed into Kuwait. All right. We've got some kind of buildup and some activity going on right now in the Middle East. I saw some flights earlier that were located in Iraq. Some of our Intel aircraft are in Iraq. We had a SPAR flight going into Iraq as well. So we've got some dignitaries. Actually had a State Department bird headed into Baghdad. And we caught them flying in, just about to land. So you got the U.S. State Department in Baghdad today, right now, as we speak. So, okay, here's RZE. This is going to be your forward operating base, the one that's located right across the border from Ukraine, going through one British bird. Not seeing anything else. Who is this? Nobody. All right. Very, very light traffic in and out of the forward operating base today. All right. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Whew, that's the lightest I think I've ever seen it in several months. In terms of aircraft in and out of the region. Almost nothing. All right, here's national cargo. All 747s. Notice one rolling out of Hong Kong, one coming out of Seb International Muscat. And then Brussels, one coming out of Brussels. Destination unknown. Those are national cargoes. Get over here to Western Global. See if we got any on the board. Got an MD-11. Looks to be rolling out of Huntsville, headed to Anchorage. That's probably troops. And then this one here headed out of Narnia. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to say that. It's Tokyo. And Narita International headed from there to Chicago. So, yeah, Narnia just sounded funny. All right. And let's see. Okay, Omni, Manchester to Toronto, Norfolk to McCord. That's going to be Joint Base Lewis McCord. And then Guam International to Anchorage, Alaska. So got some moves going there, Omni. These are probably troops, but they're not listed as camber flights. And then this is going to be your NATO bird. I only got two, jumping out of Eindhoven. Two of them out of the same location. Destination unknown. Treat them, they're kind of like camber flights, but they come in and out. That one there looks like it's just taking off, getting airborne. It's at 22,000 feet, 493. And this one is on ground. Okay. Boy, the Brits are very busy today. Let's take a look on the board. We've got about a dozen flights, all destination unknown, except for one that's coming out of Kansas City, Missouri to Bangor, Maine. All right, but look at this over Europe and over the Middle East. Even one down here in South America headed down to the lower tip, probably. Well, let's see, that one could end up down a little further south, down in here. Or they're coming over here. Who knows? So we'll just continue to see where that tracks. But we are spread out all over the place. Pretty wild. So, yeah, look at this. Now, like I said, there's something happening here in Jordan. And so let me get over here on the map. This is coming out of Cyprus, 28,000 feet and climbing 600 miles an hour, scooting as they're just heading over Israel right now. But we've been watching a lot of stuff going on here in Jordan. We know up here in Syria that we already know there's activity going on. We've got State Department showing up in Baghdad. We've got flights loading full here in Kuwait. So there could be some positioning going on because of the Iran-Russia thing going on here in Syria. So we'll keep our ear to the ground, see what happens. But all right, well, listen, that's going to do it for SITREP today. I know I went a little bit long, but there's just so much data to cover, and I didn't even scratch the surface in terms of what I was given from the research standpoint this morning before we started. So just stay frosty, keep that powder dry, and definitely, folks, this is the time to get your house in order. We've been talking about that for quite some time, but we are definitely, Yeah, we're approaching very rapidly. I think the hour of reckoning, and I do think when this does go south, it's going to happen so rapidly, and it's going to be fog of war going, and just like 9/11, where people are just they don't know what to do, where to turn. So if you're prepared now and you're making all the preparations and you're getting, your plans in order and making sure you know who you need to be looking out for, then you're going to be better prepared when things go south. All right, and that's it. So keep that powder dry. Like I said, stay frosty, and we'll see you soon. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. Check out the latest gear and products over at monkeywerxus.com.